Hey Channel Insiders, Katie Bavoso here, popping in to quickly remind you about our Channel Insider email newsletter. It's never been easier to get the week's top channel headlines sent right to your inbox. Just head to channelinsider.com and scroll down on the homepage to find where you can join for free. Okay, on to the episode. Hey Channel Insiders, welcome back to Channel Insider Partner POV. I'm your host Katie Bavoso, and my guest today is Jesper Zerlang, the newly appointed CEO of SecurityBridge, a global independent software vendor specializing in cybersecurity solutions for SAP environments. Today we dig into Jesper's leadership plan for 2026, which includes heavily investing in channel partnerships. We discuss data poisoning and how it's impacting AI use in cybersecurity, what CISOs and CIOs struggle with when it comes to implementing compliance, and why Jesper sees managed services as the greatest opportunity in 2026. Welcome, Jesper. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for having me. Very interesting. Look forward to the talk.
Very excited to have you here. Now, we are in two very different time zones right now. I am over on the East Coast of the United States, and you are in Copenhagen. So how is the weather like? Any future predictions that you can give me moving forward into the day?
Well, as a weather forecaster, we have a storm coming in. So it's snow-covered. There's ice on the lakes, and it's very pretty and Christmas-like. -5 degrees Celsius, so 28 degrees Fahrenheit. And just very crisp and beautiful place to be.
Honestly, with that kind of weather forecast between you and I'm in Massachusetts, we could potentially be in the same place right now.
Exactly.
So interesting. Well, thank you so much for braving the storm to be able to talk to me today. I'd really like to just jump in and get to know you because you spent the past year as chairman of the SecurityBridge board before stepping into the CEO role where you are now. How does that perspective change the way that you're leading now, that you're responsible for not just strategy, but actually for execution as well?
Yeah, and that's exactly the key word. I've been on the board as chair for the last 12 months. And prior to that, actually a senior advisor to the company. And we've built over the course of the last 3 or 4 quarters, a whole new strategy for go-to-market. And it's very exciting. And then as the founders stepped into a more evangelism roles, I was asked to take on the CEO position. And that was an easy choice. So we're very excited that not only having designed most of the strategy, but now I'm also responsible for executing it. So really look forward to this new CEO role.
You called it an easy choice for you. Talk to me about that. What made it so easy to select? Because it's not always the case to change positions like that.
No, and quite often it goes the other way. You are a CEO for a while and then you step into the chairman role. But I think the reason that this is exciting is actually what we do. And one thing is having great technology. There's always a prerequisite for a nice journey. But when you then also solve real issues that has an actual impact in society, if we are a little bit high up in the air, I think the purpose of protecting the world and protecting a lot of companies is very exciting. And I think that what SecurityBridge does actually matters to a lot of customers, and we solve a tangible problem that many companies are struggling with. And just makes it super exciting. So with a great team and with the outlook to make a difference, this is something that ticked a lot of my personal boxes as well.
Oh, I love that you say that because when you have a North Star like that, in this case, companies absolutely need that protection. They need that security. And knowing that's what's driving you and what you find important in the mission of the job, I agree. That's always very nice to wake up every day going, I know what I have to do. And it's very simple. I have to protect these companies. Exactly. Once you start there, you can work your way backwards for everything else.
Exactly right.
So we'll get into more about SecurityBridge in a moment, but I'd like to continue to get to know you. You've led and scaled companies before, including taking one from a small team to a global footprint. So what lessons from that experience are most shaping how you lead SecurityBridge today? When you, again, wake up every day and engage that mission, what's important to you to move forward based on your experience?
Well, I think that, when you work, you spend a lot of hours with what you work with. So there's a couple of things that needs to be in place from my perspective. First of all, you need to work with quality, and you need to work with quality people because they tend to generate quality products and solutions. So one of the key learnings is really, it's actually about the team. It is about generating a culture where you get this passion that people are kind of switched on for the same purpose. And I think that works really well. And the challenging part is making sure that this can happen in a multicultural environment. Because let's face it, I mean, we are with the internet and with cyber in particular and SAP security, it's now become one big digital village. It's not just small islands or small countries. And for sure, hackers, they don't know boundaries. They don't care if you are in one country or another. It's a global village. And so one of the key learnings here is to communicate simplistically and very clear to everybody on the team. Where are we going? Why are we going there? And how are we going to get there? The key experience from my side is to take this team spirit and cultural awareness and bring it into something tangible. Of course, we still want to win the game. We are still competitive. We still need to sell a lot of stuff. We need to support our customers. We need to do customer success, all these disciplines. But it all boils down to that everybody's aligned to the same purpose. And so that's one of the key things that I bring into this equation and next part of the journey for SecurityBridge.
Well, let's dig more into SecurityBridge and the mission that you have there. SecurityBridge protects SAP environments for large enterprises by reducing cyber risk across mission-critical SAP landscapes, in a nutshell. So who are your customers and what verticals do they typically serve?
Well, the potential customers could be any customer that has an SAP system. And the interesting thing about SAP is that if you take all the global trade in the world, and you take all the products from when they're incepted to once they go out of fashion, 73% of all products in the world touches an SAP system at one time in their life. So it's significant. It's a huge part of what companies do. And I think that it's important that we provide solutions for this. And that's why I think this company has a huge relevance. Because one thing is having your business strategy kind of evolving around SAP. We want to be the protecting layer. So, if you think security for SAP, you should think SecurityBridge.
Very well put. So SAP security is often described as complex or hard to penetrate. As SecurityBridge looks towards 2026 this year, what do you believe truly differentiates your approach to delivering and managing SAP solutions in a crowded cybersecurity market? Because as we know, as important as cybersecurity is, there's quite a few players and competition inside of this market.
Yes, there's a lot of competition, and that's really good because that keeps everybody on their toes.
Yeah.
So I actually love competition. The special thing about SAP is it's kind of a blind spot for security vendors. There is a generic cyber industry, of course, but when you then have the SAP environment, it's in itself is quite complex. And how we differentiate it is that we are truly born in the SAP ecosystem. We have SAP engineers, and the whole company was founded on building solution in SAP for SAP by SAP engineers. And that's actually the reason for the name, SecurityBridge, because we want to build the bridge between the SAP environment into the more generic IT security space. So if you have a SOC, everybody knows about firewalls, perimeter security, threat intelligence across multiple application and tech stacks. And what we do is then we include the SAP part of it. So you coexist, we coexist with everything that customers have in the first place, but we just add real intelligence from SAP that is relevant and fits into whatever the customers might have in the first place.
So you've talked about moving from a direct first model to a channel first strategy. Now I want to get into that model a little bit more. What does that shift say about how you see the market evolving and how SecurityBridge plans to scale this year?
Well, first of all, I want to really emphasize that it's a core part of the strategy that we move from a direct to an indirect approach. And why do we do that? It's actually because that's the best way we feel we can serve our customers. Because the customers, to a large extent, already have a trusted relationship to the partner. They work for a long time together. They know all their pains, and they might have built some of the core systems also within SAP with the partners. And so it's obvious for us that we can scale faster if we provide solutions that fits into the channel, and so that partners can actually get to know SecurityBridge and deliver our solutions to their trusted customers.
You've emphasized to me fewer but better partnerships. That's going to be a priority for you this year. What makes a partner the right partner for SecurityBridge, especially as you expand globally? What kinds of partners are you looking for, especially since SecurityBridge focuses on protecting a very specific vendor environment? Explain that to me.
Yeah. So first of all, the ICP or the key customers that we are targeting is more towards the enterprise segment. So more large global enterprises is where we have a sweet spot. And so then you have to work backwards and see what partners are actually focused on this. So it is the larger system integrators, the big four or the big six or 10, if you will, that have a huge offering on services evolving around SAP. And here we can then add the security aspect because today in modern world, which is something that have changed, you cannot build an application within a customer as a partner without thinking security first. And here we bring something with that they really like because we speak the SAP language, and so we're not kind of a foreign security solution that need to be bolted on their solution. We can actually seamlessly fit into what they already know about. So the ideal partners are either a large system integrator, or it can be an SAP vertical partner, and very much so MSSP. So the whole MSSP space is going to change because customers obviously have a challenge of their cybersecurity. They want this as a service because they cannot manage themselves. And so we provide these MSSPs with a full multi-tenant solution of SecurityBridge, which means that they are also going to be a significant channel segment for us.
When approaching those partners, how are you incentivizing them to look to SecurityBridge as the trusted partner that they should engage in that partnership this year? I'm trying to say partner so many times in one sentence here, but truly that is the idea. How are you engaging them? How are you incentivizing them to join up?
Well, first of all, before we even start about incentives, it's really important that we build a brand that's trusted so the partners know that when they engage with us, they can really rely that what we deliver is really high quality, that's easy to implement, and we have thought about what the customers are looking for. So that's kind of the ticket to the game. And then once we're in the game, it's a mutual qualification. We are trying to find partners that are willing to invest in this. I would challenge most partners in saying that if they sell a cybersecurity solution for SAP with SecurityBridge, they can minimum 10x the license that they deliver on services. And two aspects can be the case. They might already have the services, or we will help build the service together with a partner. So we have a pretty good understanding on what a customer is looking for. So as an example, you could say that before you implement a security solution, you want to know about what is the risk appetite for a customer. And we have, various templates where we can enable the partners so they know how to ask the right questions. And so it's not just about buying a solution and all of a sudden there is a magic bullet and then the customer is secure. You need to know what are you trying to secure and why. And that whole conversation can be difficult to have if you don't have the skill. But we want to build programs where we can assist the partners and enable them to be able to do this. So this is one of the key things that we really want to make it easy to work with SecurityBridge for a partner.
Very well put. So speaking of security, which is a big conversation of today, we got to talk about AI. There's no way that we can have a conversation without talking about the other.
Sure.
AI, as I'm sure you've seen, it's everywhere in cybersecurity conversations right now, but often in very abstract terms. How are you thinking about applying AI in practical ways that actually reduce workload and risk for your SAP customers?
Well, I think there is, of course, an array of how you can talk about AI and how it's going to affect SecurityBridge and what we do. But if we kind of take them one by one, it's evident that when you have threat intelligence information that is generated by the SecurityBridge solution, it could be an indication of compromise or anything like that. Security analyst would want to have all the information that is already available somewhere out there. And we have already made plugins that our findings is augmented by AI solution that then build kind of the heavy lifting of what a security analyst in the past would be having, what they would have to do. They would have to go to multiple sources to investigate everything around an incident, an IP address, or any other threat information or vulnerability. And we put this in a structured fashion right at the fingertips of the customers through using AI. So that's a key way of using it. And then there is the actual way that we generate code, is that we of course want to use all the new modern tools as well, so we can bring value to the market much faster in terms of new features and availability and what have you. But that kind of happens under the surface. But just rest assured that we, as everybody else, are very much into selecting carefully what makes sense for AI and what is not really there yet. One area we have a whole research team with people that are dedicated to the AI aspect of it. And one big challenge about AI is data poison. And data poison being that AIs are good, but if for some reason the language models are inflicted with noisy data and poison, the result can be really devastating. And I'm sure that the adversaries are also using AI. So we're working on in the lab right now to finding how can we find indications of intruders using AI, and how does that affect the customers. And through this way, hopefully by applying our solutions, the customers can trust that we also have ways of finding out if their data, which is their biggest resource, is being poisoned somehow.
Interesting. I hadn't heard the term of data poison, and when you add that word in, it makes it very I guarantee that I'll hear more about it. Would you mind talking about that a little bit more, because it's a term that I haven't heard just yet. So talk to me more about this term data poison. When did you start realizing this was the right thing to call it based on the patterns that you were seeing?
Well, first of all, I don't want to take credit for inventing the word. But it's just, it resonates well with me. I mean, we all used these, Copilot or ChatGPT, and you sometimes use it and you get some results that you have knowledge about. And for some reason, there's this strange information in there. And how did it get in there? Most of the time, it's just by just garbage in, garbage out, the old term that AI gets fed in an improper fashion with fake news or these things. Mm-hmm. Or it could be that if you take it outside of security, you could say that right now in war times, data poison is, for instance, that in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict that we have right now, that the parties have been kind of hacking the GPS system. So you're using a GPS system, and then you think that your target is where the GPS says you're going. But then if you have poisoned the GPS, it will actually take you to another place, and you'll be caught off guard, and then maybe you are put into a trap, and then you are vulnerable. That can also happen to data. So that the adversary will put data into your AI models, and it will give you suggestions that might be false and that can be exploited. And so you need tools to be able to discover these things. But now we talk a little bit about what is happening in the lab, and is not in the market yet. But I think it's a super interesting topic. And the reason we're bringing it up is that our customers need to know that we are working on these type of technologies.
Absolutely. They see it out there happening in the world, just like you were using that analogy with what's going on during the war in the Ukraine and Russia. So having that known, that you're taking that into account and that you're breaking it down to even a smaller level, it's really important that you understand these things and that they see that confidence in you. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about what you're doing in the lab? How much can you give away when speaking about that?
I would rather keep that as a Christmas present for later. But I think what the lab does in general is that we actually are very active on behalf of the customers. One thing is protecting from attacks, but we also are proactive in trying to mitigate where are there vulnerabilities within, for instance, SAP. So every software company, including SAP, they will release software that is vulnerable and have holes in them and can be compromised. When we find these, and we search every single day, we have analysts that are surfing the web and scanning systems. We will leverage this and provide a lot of information to SAP, for instance, so they proactively can ensure when they release their updates that it's much secure by design.
Excellent. Well, let's continue talking about the important features that you're seeing and that are being applied to these environments. Compliance is obviously another huge topic within cybersecurity. It's no longer optional, but many organizations still struggle with the how. What are you seeing CISOs and CIOs wrestle with most when it comes to compliance in SAP environments? And how is SecurityBridge helping resolve these challenges?
Well, I think the big struggle is that there's a lot of focus when you talk compliance in general, about the risk posture, and the reason you have compliance is that you have to really know your business processes and document your processes on how do you deal with the whole flow of your solutions. That's the core of compliance. How do you protect personal data and all these things? But what is sometimes missing, or often missing, is once you have the framework up and running, then you have the big question, so how? How do we then stay compliant? And how is it not just false security? How can you sleep safe that actually the systems that you have implemented is living up to the expected compliance that you have in place? And this is where, when you're a CISO or a CIO, when you look up to the board, you're talking about risk posture. How do you do it? That's one way of looking at it. But then your daily job is then to look down. How do you mitigate? How do you do it? And that's where you have to discover a solution like SecurityBridge and other security tools that then can actually provide the solution for the compliance. Because compliance is just, it's just a finger in a glass of water. The next day, once you have delivered your compliance report, it's like nothing happened because the intruder could have come in at 1 a.m. and then you are not compliant anymore. So I think the whole shift on compliance, seen from our perspective, is that you need to also have solutions that are relevant and continuously make sure that you are living up to those compliant requirements that is being put on companies, and that's a lot, and it's increasing.
It is a lot, and that's why they need to be able to rely on partners like SecurityBridge and your partner ecosystem to be able to deal with it, because it's definitely not their business of day to day. So I know that they need to break out of that trouble of trying to concentrate on everything. So you said the most important conversations aren't about features, but about understanding a customer's business. How do you coach your teams and your partners to show up differently in those conversations?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think it's a combination of the people you work with and training. And it's making sure that we keep the conversation. Of course, the product, the technology is super important. And that's kind of, again, using that term of the ticket to the game. It needs to be absolutely amazing and stellar technology. But if you do not apply and understand why a customer should need your solution, then you're just providing solution that doesn't add value to the customer, and then you can have them for a year or so, and then they leave they churn, and nobody wants that. But if you really understand to say to the customer, okay, customer, you want our solution? Yeah, why? Because I want to be compliant, I want to be secure, so just send me an invoice. You should have the boldness to say, well, hold on a minute, what are you trying to achieve, and what does good look like when you're up and running, and what are your constraints to your own business, and understanding this before you design the final solution is extremely valuable and key. And we'll bring this to the partners. So we will definitely, of course, onboard them and train them and make sure that they are certified in how our product works. But we would also want to work with them on certifying them on how you have a good security conversation with their customers.
That is a good point, because sometimes you have partners, or even internally you have employees who are great at being able to execute, but it's that communication to the people who don't understand that, who don't see the behind the scenes, that need to have that better understanding on the customer side. Well, speaking of that, let's put that into practice. Can you talk to me about a customer success story that you love to tell? When you think about SecurityBridge as a success story in its own, what customer success story comes to mind for you when you say, this is what we do and this is why we do it well?
Well, I think that one of the challenges we have, of course, is often customers are not always willing to share their own stories, because we are dealing with security, and if you expose what you use for security protection, then your adversaries would know what you're working with, and that's some people think it could be a disadvantage. But one thing, as a general theme that I'm very proud of, is that when you implement the full security stack from SecurityBridge, you need a lot less people. And this is the big challenge that a lot of companies have. They have this notion, yes, we got to do something, but we don't have time to find out what we need to do and implement. And so they are still underwater. But we have small security teams that maybe today, with a full implementation of how to make sure you are fully patched and your code is secure and you have everything on threat intelligence in place and check, and you are compliant. Maybe in an enterprise situation, you could have somewhere between 5 and 10 people that are if not full-time, but then on and off, very much involved in this. And if you implement it and do it correctly, maybe you only need a third of these kind of people. And then instead of running around doing basic stuff, your employees can really spend their time on high quality effects of what is being mitigated by the tool. I mean, if you're vulnerable, we'll find out immediately. We'll also provide out of the box what do you need to do, and it's almost the next process. Where in the past it was, okay, we might think we are vulnerable, and we will find out 3 months too late, and then there's a lot of busy work trying to catch up, and it's just very painful from a resource perspective. So the key stories that I think is the most straightforward is that you get ahead of the curve. You're not swamped and always being behind, and you can start to actually think about how to protect even more smarter and clever when you have your resources freed up for these simple tasks that the solution will automate it completely for you.
As we start to wrap up here today, Jesper, I'm curious, when you think about moving forward in 2026, where do you see the biggest opportunities for partners this year? Even if you're not thinking specifically SecurityBridge, I'd love to pick your mind as being so entrenched in this industry. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for partners this year?
I think if I had to choose one word, it would be managed services.
Why is that?
Well, it's because if you look at it, I think that there's a number flowing around, whether it's 2 or 3 million cyber security experts that are missing today. That's open positions on a global level. More than 2 million people are missing to have a full protection within enterprises. So as an enterprise, you need to find the right resource. You need to be able to pay them. You need to train them, and it moves so fast. So what's good today doesn't work in 9 months. You need to be up and running. And I think the managed security providers have one of the keys to the solution here, because you want to be able to outsource it. And the managed security providers, they are teamed together. They have solid vertical knowledge about security and SAP security. And this way, companies can relax and they can outsource this. They cannot outsource the responsibility, but they can outsource the groundwork and the trust that their systems are being monitored 24/7. So I think that's going to be a key word for 26 for the channel market. And then I think, to be honest, if I'm a little bit focused on myself and SecurityBridge and SAP, I think that everything ERP, not necessarily just SAP, but all ERP systems are becoming much more relevant, because in the past it was about breaking in. That's now, a lot of solutions are out there, but what happens if a disgruntled employee or somehow, a password is being sold on the dark web, and all the credentials are safe and sound, and you just surf right into your hardcore ERP systems? Then what do you do? And that's why we wait and take on these guys and can protect, companies, because I think it's about 28% of all major attacks somehow evolved either weak passwords or intrusion or somebody on the inside actually working with the hackers, and which is an alarming number. And our technology can discover this and alert customers if patterns like this are happening, and then they can protect themselves.
Quite stressful when you think about that coming from inside the house, so to speak, to think about that. But it is something you need to prepare for. Very true.
Definitely.
Very true.
Definitely.
Jesper, I've had such a great time talking with you today about SAP, about SecurityBridge, and about every opportunity for partners. I'm sure that many folks listening have a million more questions. So where can they go to learn more about SecurityBridge and follow along in your journey this year?
Well, the easy path is, of course, securitybridge.com. You will have all the information there, and you can even go to my LinkedIn profile. I have all my personal contact, my phone number, my email, everything is there. And that should be the easiest part. If you want to get in touch with us, you have questions, if you're a customer, if you're a partner considering going in this area, we will definitely give some advice.
Thank you very much for your time, Jesper. I look forward to following along with SecurityBridge throughout 2026. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Yeah, same to you, and look forward to it. And I look forward to a lot of new partnerships in the new year.
Thanks so much to Jesper for joining me today, and thank you for watching or listening. You can check out every episode of Channel Insider Partner POV on channelinsider.com, or watch us on YouTube at youtube.com/channelinsider_news and trends. You can also listen to us as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever possible so you never miss an episode. Come connect with Channel Insider or me, Katie Bavoso, on LinkedIn and X. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.